What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Main Event Podcast right here on FranchiseSportsMedia.com. I'm your host, Kalani. I'm rolling solo today, but that is all right. We're going to keep the good times rolling here. Man, oh man, what an exciting weekend we had in the world of combat sports. UFC 278 in Salt Lake City. Woo-wee! And new UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards defeats Camaro Usman via knockout in the 5th round. Guys, I'm still shocked. I am still in awe of what happened. This fight, building into it, has so many layers and such a tremendous story. The fight itself took place, it told its own story. Afterwards, to see this Rocky-like achievement by Leon Edwards, where he starts off in the first round against Usman. In fact, let me back it up a little bit. Let me just back it up just a little bit. I don't want to get too ahead. I'm a little excited from what happened, but let me just break it down to you guys. Usman and Edwards, they fought each other early in their UFC careers, two prospects on the rise. Usman gets the victory. They both have improved and gone on to tremendous lengths. In fact, Edwards was on a 10-fight win streak coming into this fight. Usman, wins the title, defends. His name is in the conversation for greatest welterweight champion of all time, in the conversation for possibly one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. He's got a role in Black Panther 2 that's coming out later this year. Big ups to him on that. One of the most charismatic fighters, a tremendous story in his own right. Thinking about possibly moving up to light heavyweight because he doesn't want to go to middleweight where his friend Israel Adesanya is the reigning champion. So hey, maybe I'll jump up to 205. He's a big enough guy to do so. Then he's like, okay, maybe I'll go into pro boxing. You know, I'm looking for another challenge. Maybe I'll take on Canelo Alvarez. I don't know if that's a good idea, but okay. Maybe Jake Paul. That sounds a little bit more realistic. But before I do that, I got to defeat this guy I've already beaten. Well, I've already beaten Kobe Covington, who I defeat twice. I've already beat Jorge Masvidal. Now I defeated him twice. I'll just circle back around again. For Leon Edwards, this is a man who at one point in time was earning his stripes and getting a UFC welterweight championship. Goes out and defeats former lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos. Very convincingly, okay, you get the championship. There's something called the pandemic. COVID-19 stopped in its tracks. Now, instead of him saying, I'm gonna go to Las Vegas or at least go to the US and stay for an unknown amount of time, I'm gonna stay over here in the UK with my family because I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know what's gonna happen, how long this lockdown is gonna be. While he's over there, can't come back to the States. With the UFC, they're rolling. They're getting fights going. Now, everybody else is getting title shots. Everyone else is getting a chance to rise and shine. Well, Leon misses his opportunity. Okay, I'll fight the former champ, Tyron Woodley. Bam, that gets postponed. Well, what about taking on this fighter? I can't do that. At one point in time, he was over 400 plus days of not being an active fighter. The UFC, while he was ranked number 3 in the division, removes him from the rankings for inactivity. Whoa. I'm not sitting out because I just want to sit home and be lazy. There's a pandemic going on. There's a big uproar, so they put him back on the rankings. But they say, why don't you take on this guy called Khamzat Chimaev? I don't know if you guys have heard of us talk about him on the show. Griff and I certainly have heard his name mentioned a couple of times. We'll get into his story a little bit later. But then he's like, wait, if I'm number 3 and he's unranked at the time, why should I face him? That's disrespect to me and everything that I've accomplished. Okay, well, we're not going to do that particular bout, even though he agreed to it later on several different times. Hey, what about taking on Nate Diaz, right? The Stockton bad boy. Okay, I'll do that. Beat him convincingly. But because at the 24th minute, Nate Diaz stuns Leon Edwards with a right, people felt that, well, it wasn't a convincing enough win. Yada, yada, yada. All this happens. Next thing you know, Usman, Edwards, let's just go ahead and do it, get out the way. In a sense saying, let's give Usman this fight. If he wins, well, he's going to continue to go on and do great things. Edwards, you're never going to see the title shot once again. All this that we've been going with you through for the last couple of years, you're not the most exciting fighter. You don't have the biggest personality. Nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong if you don't choose to be a character, a figure that goes out there and is over the top and dramatic. He's just like, look, I'm a fighter. I'm respectful. That's not my personality. I don't want to fake it till I make it. I just want to go out there and let my skills in the cage show. These two face off against each other. Now, I'm being honest here when I say this. When I saw the initial face-off between these two in the cage, and Usman walks across the cage, gets in Edwards' face to raise his fist. Now, he's done this to other opponents as well. Something about that made me say, something's off. Something's in the air in Utah. I don't know what it is. Something's off. When Edwards and Usman in the first round collide, Edwards is looking good. He's looking good. He gets the first takedown of Usman's career inside the UFC, a la Alexander Gustafsson versus John Jones. The first time, we know how that ended up going out, right? So now Edwards is looking good. But the second, third, and fourth round, Usman just showed him there are levels to this. He utilized his grappling, his strength, his ground control, and really just to control Edwards. There was times Edwards looked defeated, looked like he just maybe mentally drained. Hey, physically, I'm here, but mentally, I'm just not in the picture. But his corner kept insisting, you gotta go out there, you gotta make it dirty, you gotta keep fighting. The fifth round comes. As time is ticking away, it just looks like Usman's gonna go on to another victory, continue his status of being one of the greatest of all time. 1 minute left, 60 seconds away from Usman being called and still a left head kick turns the tables. It was beautiful how Edwards set it up. He throws a feint left just to get Usman to block it, but to slip a little. The slip allowed Usman to go directly into the left foot coming up. He turned the hip, brought it up very nice and crisp. Well, bow! Right there on the side, it was night-night Irene. Usman was out on his feet before he even hit the canvas. At one point, he folded up like an accordion, nearly kissed his knee. We've seen that happen to other fighters before, too. Edwards didn't even need to go down and apply any ground strikes to him. It's a tremendous victory for all involved. One, he's a second UK fighter to win UFC gold behind Michael Bisping. The way he and Bisping won it were kind of similar. Two underdogs taking on a champion many thought would be great. Bisping obviously knocking out Luke Rockhold, who everyone thought was going to be the next great middleweight champion. Edwards knocking out an already great welterweight champion in Usman. The fact that Edwards is the second Jamaican fighter to win UFC gold behind Aljamain Sterling. The fact that he's gone through everything he's been through in his career and doing it in a way that we didn't see, like with Conor McGregor. I'm gonna be loud and I'm gonna be very boisterous and I'm gonna be very charismatic. We're not gonna see it like other fighters who come in with a chip on their shoulder and get angry and cause up a ruckus. I'm gonna be quiet, I'm gonna be soft-spoken, respectful, and I'm just gonna do what I'm supposed to do. Train, stay ready, and go out there and perform and execute these fights. This man's on an 11-fight win streak, and yet somehow feels like when he won, nobody knew him. This is a man who at one point in time, while in the UK, got booed when showed on the screen by his own fans. They show this UK fighter, They show Edwards. Boo! While we sit here and say, be humble, be respectful, no need for the shenanigans, no need for theatrics, deep down as fans, that's what we want. That's what we crave. That's what we enjoy. That draws us in. There's a reason why you look at most television is reality TV based. And what are the ones that have been going on the longest or the most popular? The ones that have the over-the-top characters, the ones that are very much full of drama and in your face and yada, 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 and all the other theatrics. More power to them. And there's nothing wrong with doing that if that's the way you choose to do business. There's also nothing wrong if you want to go out there and just say, I just want to do my job. And I'm going to show you guys I'm one of the best at doing this job. I don't need to go out here and do all this advertising. I don't need to go out here and throw anything at buses or throw bottles at people or talk about your families. I'm just going to step in that cage, step across from you, punch, kick, knee, elbow, submit you, whatever I got to do. But I'm going to do it amongst the best. Leon Edwards, a tremendous story. What his title reign will be, that remains to be seen. But right now, we can enjoy the moment. And make no mistake about it, folks. Make no mistake about it. This is not a knock on Camaro Usman in any way whatsoever. It's a knockout loss. It happens. It's the world of fighting. Camaro Usman is still one of the greatest 170-pounders in the entire world. He's one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. He'll bounce back stronger than ever. Edwards did make a great point, though, in his post-fight interview. When you see someone on the verge or at the window of being great, an all-time GOAT, and they get knocked out like that, it tends to change them. How will Usman respond? How would he bounce back in his next fight? Will it be like Francis Ngannou before he became champion, where he loses to Stipe Miocic, fights Derek Lewis, and he's the shell of himself. He's hesitant. He's afraid to let his hands go. Then he has to go ahead and get his mind right and say, you know what? I'm still the best. I'm still Francis Ngannou. Now he's the world heavyweight champion. Will Usman go through the same, or will he, hey, I'm bouncing right back, baby. I'm bouncing right back, like Amanda Nunes, like George St. Pierre, like others who got dethroned and bounced right back. Time will tell, but hats off to one Leon Edwards. Whew, the rematch. whether it's later this year or early next year, Wembley Stadium. Ooh. Speaking of rematches, let's pivot very quickly to the world of boxing. This past weekend, we saw a heavyweight rematch between Alexander Usak and Anthony Joshua. I know, no one knew about it. It was going on in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, but man, oh man. While one UK went out there and captured gold, well, another Brit wasn't able to do such a thing. Anthony Joshua just came up short, loses by decision. Usak, he did what he had to do to win. Neither fighter showed an inspiring output to make you think, one, we want to see a third fight. No need to. Or, if there's this other guy, I think his name is Tyson Fury. He's supposed to be a pretty good heavyweight. Well, if they were to fight him, neither one showed that, oh yeah, maybe they could defeat Tyson Fury. Oh, no. There's only one Tyson Fury. Man, oh man. But to Usak and Joshua, remember, Usak went out for the Ukraine, his native land, to fight in the war. And then he came back to fight in this war. So he had a lot going on mentally and physically to prepare. Anthony Joshua, at one point in time, was supposed to be the guy. Looked like he was made in the lab, sculpted out like a piece of clay. Some say he kind of has the body of me, but I digress. We could get into that later. But Anthony Joshua was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to help bring boxing back, put the heavyweight division back on the platform, and he had a couple good showings. But we've seen in the last couple of years, his loss to Andy Ruiz, his loss to Usak, that maybe once again, losing in a knockout fashion has maybe changed him to where he doesn't want to be as aggressive. Has he fallen into looking too forward past into post-boxing career opportunities? That maybe his motivation to fight at a high level is just not there. The great middleweight champion of all time, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, once said, "It's hard to wake up and run 5 miles when you're sleeping in silk sheets." It's true. That's why for some fighters like a Floyd Mayweather, a Sugar Ray Leonard, a George St. Pierre, a John Jones, you have to give them their flowers as being truly some of the greats, because they not only got to the top, but they stayed up there for a numerous amount of years, time and time again. So for fighters to have that opportunity to cement their names in that elk of greatness and not do it, just fall short, it's not a knock on them, but it's like, man, you had it, but you just don't show the same hunger and fight and desire. For someone like Anthony Joshua, at one point in time, we wanted to see him versus Deontay Wilder. Still do, but that fight definitely lost a lot of its luster. Wanted to see him fight Tyson Fury. I don't know if I want to see that. That's a public execution waiting to happen right there. Alexander Usak is a tremendous fighter. And again, I would give him a bit of not an asterisk, but I give him a bit of a pass. He is coming fresh off trying to fight a war. So maybe with more time in the gym, more time to train, and more time to get his mind right, he can go out there and say, you know what, let me refocus and let me go here and show why I became the undisputed champion. And maybe down the line, him versus Fury will be a tremendous fight to see. Let's go back to the world of UFC. Saw a tremendous co-main event happen before we saw Edwards with a tremendous knockout. And this was Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. Boy, get your baby oils ready for this one right here. This could have took place for a Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine. The two male models going at it. What a tremendous fight, though. This just goes to show you, yeah, we may have abs and a strong jawline and perfect hair and very seductive eyes, and I don't know what I'm talking about here right now, but at the same time, we're warriors. We're gladiators. We want to fight. Luke Rockhold looked decent early on, but he also looked pretty gassed. But he showed, I looked like I was going to be gone in the first 5 minutes. He went to full 15. There was times he was putting his hands on his knees, taking deep breaths. At one point in time in the fight, he literally huffed and puffed, turned around as if he wanted to just stop, said F you to Costa, bounced off the cage, came back with a left, and hit Costa. Now for Costa, as early as he had Rockhold looking out in the first round, he wasn't able to finish on the rest. Two things. One, give all the credit in the world to Luke Rockhold for showing that heart of a champion, heart of a fighter. But then you also got to say, Costa, what's going on here? You're supposed to finish your opponent when he's like this. But Luke Rockhold retired, a tremendous career. We're going to dive more in his career later on, so be sure to look out on Franchise Sports Media for that. For Paulo Costa, this was a great win for him, but again, having your opponent hurt and gassed like that and you couldn't put him away for 10 plus minutes, buddy, maybe you're not ready for a rematch with Izzy just yet at 185. Maybe we got to see you fight someone else and see how you do in that particular cast. Either way, it was a tremendous co-main event that definitely got you ready and hyped for the main event. The main event itself was one of those where you're just, what did I just see? Did that really just happen? I'm not even lying. I wish I was live casting it. I literally dropped my jaw when the head kick came. Like, I couldn't believe it. But that just goes to show you, in this sport, unlike any other sport, if I'm watching football, 2 minutes left and you're down 3 touchdowns, there's no play or pass you could do that's going to get you 21 points. Basketball, you're down by 15 with a minute left, there's no shot you're going to make to get that. Unless you're Reggie Miller in the Garden, then that's a different story. But nonetheless, in the world of combat sports, one kick, one punch, one knee, one elbow, one misstep on the ground where your arm is too much out there or your neck is too exposed, it can be over just like that. And that's why we love it, folks. And that's why you got to watch it till the bell. Till next time, folks, this has been another episode of The Main Event right here on Franchise Sports Media. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tune in again next week and come back for more sports news right here. Till next time, fight fans. Peace.